Hi, and welcome back to Harmony's van camper conversion. This is day 11, and my task for today is to cut up all the sound deadening strips that I'll be laying underneath the floor, under the subfloor. And also, we'll be laying out some one by ones as furrowing strips to attach the subfloor to. So that's what we'll be doing today. And as you can see, I'm using the jigsaw and slicing up this sound deadening board. It comes in a large sheet like plywood, but it's actually more of a, not a foam, it's like a very dense material. Obviously, it would have to be for sound deadening. Kind of like a very thick tar paper consistency.
I'm driving down an empty freeway.
It was right about this point that I realized that I had laid out the sound deadening strips, which were actually not as tall as the wood, in the valleys, and they needed to be on the mountains of the floor, on the top of the ripples, and that furrowing strips needed to be laid in the valleys because that way everything was level across the entire floor. But eventually I figured that out and it worked out okay. As you can see here, I have everything kind of laid out. The next step was to use the heavy construction caulking adhesive. So I actually used a caulking gun, and I think it was very difficult for me because I had not cut the end of the tube off at the right place. You want to cut it out where the hole is actually big enough for the caulk to come out a little more smoothly than it did in my process. By the end of the day, my hands were very, very sore from squeezing the handle on the caulking gun, trying to force the caulk out of the tube, but we got through it.
I'm driving down an empty freeway. No waiting for the light to change. I'm seeing the sunrise behind me.
After I got all of the furrow strips in place and the sound deadening, I laid the original pieces of the subfloor that were in the van back in there. And welcome to day 12.
The past life again.
Come on. Come on out, Bubbles.
And the future
Okay, so one thing I forgot before I put my subflooring down and secure it, I need to cover up my wheel wells. And I'm going to use this insulation that was virtually free that I got at the estate sale to cover up both of the wheel wells. Then I'm going to put that subflooring down on top of the edges of that so it's secure. And then we will screw in all the subfloors, and then I can begin on the tongue and groove flooring. Yay!
I'm driving down an empty freeway. seeing the sunrise behind me. The past life again. I'm reaching for only one time. I'm dreaming of a future that
I started to lay some of the tongue and groove flooring at the end of the day on day 12. When I came back into the van the next day, I realized that I had not joined the joints on the flooring very well. So I kind of released everything and started over again. You take a little piece of flooring that's kind of wide and use a mallet, and you slide the little piece of flooring into the groove on the floor, and then just lightly tap, and it pushes the floor pieces together, and they lock together. I had to, in this instance though, eventually use nails to nail the floor down once I got it in place, because the subflooring that I was using was the original subflooring, and it was a bit warped. So it was hard to get the tongue and groove to lay down as flat as I wanted it to. Also, this is going to be in a vehicle, and it's going to be moved around and bumped around over time as I'm driving down the road, so it was a little added protection to nail the pieces down. You have to be careful though that you don't split the flooring, because it's very easily split when you're using nails. So you just have to make sure that you're using very thin, small nails, and that you're careful. If you look under each piece as I'm laying it here, you can see that there's a blue color underneath this tile, or these tongue and groove pieces. That is the underlayment, and these particular pieces of flooring that I was using, that I got from Lowe's, have the underlayment attached to them. Now, if you get the kind of flooring that does not have that underneath, you're going to need to get a roll or two of the underlayment that's separate and lay that down before you put your tongue and groove pieces down as a protection from moisture.
the past life again. I'm reaching for only one time. I'm dreaming of a future that
Well, we got the floors done. There's space on the edges where I'm going to be putting in the walls and all that kind of stuff, so that's not covered up yet, but the floors are all done. Go around to the other side so you get a better look at it. the pretty floors. So that's my very first attempt at putting floor in. There are some gaps, but that is due to the warped subfloor. Normally you wouldn't even have to use nails or anything, but I did nail everything down because of the warping in the subfloor, because I chose to use that subfloor that we had before. It was already cut and it still had a lot of life in it, so. Okay, so that's where we're at. Okay, so day 14, I had to cover up the air conditioning and heating ducts in the back that do not work. Therefore, I didn't really need them exposed, but I also could not take them out because the heat and the air does work in the front of the van. So we had to leave it in there. So I just covered it up with this box that I built. And then I also began to frame out the walls. As you can see here, it was kind of like putting a puzzle together. I put on attached some furrowing strips onto the walls to attach the walls to, and I also had to pre-drill holes in order to be able to get the screws to go through the wood and the metal. Hi, it's day 14 of my van build, and I decided to come. The sun is just starting to come up. It's been cooler here in the mornings in Georgia than it has been for quite a while, so I decided to get out here really early. My task for today is to make a template for the different shapes on the walls with some cardboard, get everything measured out, cut out the cardboard, and then make the cuts on my Luan wood so that I can get those walls up around the box that I built on day 13 of the build that goes over my air conditioning ducts. And once I get those walls up, at least in the back of the van, then I can turn my attention to building a bed frame, which I've been looking forward to for quite some time. So that's what I'm doing today.
I'm driving down an empty freeway. No waiting for the light to change. I'm seeing the sunrise behind me. future that